Welcome to our series on math properties. In this tutorial, we'll be going over three properties of addition and multiplication. We'll discuss the commutative properties of addition and multiplication, the associative properties of addition and multiplication, and finally, the identity properties of addition and multiplication. This is the associative property of addition. Associative means that whenever you have numbers that are being added together, it could be 3 numbers, 4 numbers, 5 numbers. It doesn't matter which ones you add together first. So you can group them in any order that you want. For example, 6 plus 5 plus 7, 6 plus 5 plus 7. So in the first, on the left, since I have the parentheses here, it tells me that I'm going to do 5 plus 7 first, because I'm going to do what's in the parentheses first. So on the left side, it tells me I'm going to do 5 plus 7 first. 5 plus 7 is 12. 12 plus 6 is going to give me 18. And now on the right side, it tells me to do 6 plus 5 first. So 6 plus 5 is going to give me 11, and 11 plus 7 also gives me 18. So it didn't matter whether I did 5 plus 7 first or 6 plus 5 first. As long as I'm adding all the numbers and addition is all that I'm doing, I can go ahead and add them in any order. Okay, let's look at the bottom one. Here we have 6 plus 5, that'll give me 11. 11 plus 7, that'll give me 18. And then 18 plus 3 will give me 21. Let's take a look over here. 5 plus 7 will give me 12. 6 plus 12 will give me 18. And 18 plus 3 will also give me 21. And finally, let's say I do 7 plus 3 first. 7 plus 3 is equal to 10. Okay, 10 plus 5 will give me 15. And 15 plus 6 will give me 21. Okay, so now let's look at the third example. In the third example, I have a variable. I have the x variable. Okay, if all of them have the x variable, I can add them in any order. Remember that we don't know what the variable is unless the value of the variable is given to us. So in our answer, we're going to have to keep the variable. So 4x plus 3x is going to give me 7x. 7x plus 9x is going to equal 16x. And that's my answer. Let's take it over here. 9x plus 4x is going to give me 13x. And then 13x plus 3x is going to equal 16x. Now let's take a look at the associative property of multiplication. 5 times 7 is 35. 35 times 6 is going to equal, okay, let's see, 35 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. I carry the 3. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 3, 21. So 6 times 35 is going to give me 210 on the left side. And on the right side, 6 times 5 is going to give me 30. And 30 times 7 is going to equal 210. All right, very quickly, let me just mention, if you notice, in the first one on the left side, I had to do the calculations on the side because it's very hard to multiply 6 by 35 in your head. But in the second part, I was able to do 30 times 7 in my head, just off the top of my head. The reason being is that if I multiply 30, which has a 0 at the end, I know that all I have to do is multiply the 7 times 3. It'll give me 21, and then I add the 0 to the end of it, and that'll give me my answer. That is a preview to how you would actually use the associative property of multiplication or addition. Okay? The reason being, since you can add or multiply them in any order or group them however you want, you can choose to group whatever is easiest for you to calculate in your head. So that way you can get an answer much faster. So let's take a look at the second one. Here we have 4 numbers, and I've grouped them differently in each case. The first one, I'm going to have 30 first, and 30 times 7. Okay, I already know that 30 times 7 is going to give me 210. But now I have to keep going and multiply that by 3. Okay, I know that 3 times 21, I could do that in my head. 3 times 21 will give me 63. And I can just add a 0 to the end. You see, by grouping it this way, I was able to do the calculations mentally. Let's see how about the other ones. 5 times 7 is 35. Again, if I multiply 6 by 35, that'll be a little harder to do in my head, but I already know that 6 times 35 is equal to 210. And 210 times 3 is going to give me 630 once more. And let's take a look at the final one. I'll do this one on the bottom. 7 times 3 is 21. 5 times 21 is going to give me 105. But I'm not done because I have the 6 left over. So 105 times 6. Let's do it on the side. 105 times 6. Now this one I could do mentally, but I want to go ahead and do the calculation just so we can review what happens when we are multiplying by 0. 6 times 5 will give me 30. 6 times 0 is going to equal 0. You add the 3, and you're going to have the 3 at your answer. And finally, 6 times 1 is going to be 6, and my final answer is 630. So it doesn't matter here which group I do first, I still get the same exact answer. All right, let's throw in some variables and see what happens. Here, 4x times 3x will give me 12x squared. 9x times 12x will give me 108 x to the third power. Okay, now if that was a little confusing, that lets you know that you probably need to go back and review how to multiply variables together. Okay, here, because I multiplied x times x times x, I end up with x to the third power. All right, let's see what happens on the right side. 9x times 4x gives me 36x to the second power. Then, if I multiply that by 3x, again, it gives me 108 and x to the third power. So it gives me the exact same answer on the left and on the right. Okay, let's take a look at one more property. Let's talk briefly about the identity properties of addition and multiplication. All this rule simply says is that any number added to 0 will give you that same number. So 2 plus 0 is going to equal 2. 1036 plus 0 is going to equal 1036. When you add any number to 0, it doesn't add anything else to it, so the number stays the same. That's the identity property of addition. Now let's take a look at the identity property of multiplication. Any number times 1 gives you that same number. So 7 times 1 gives me 7. 345 times 1 gives me 345. So any number multiplied by the number 1 will give you the exact same number. You can find more English and Haitian Creole math videos on our website, hctutorial.com. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please email me at schillerambrose27@gmail.com. Thank you.